Worldwide Safety Consultants Limited offers solutions to your immediate and future potential problem areas by providing you with a qualified team of safety consultants. Worldwide Safety Consultants Limited, building a reputation on quality and value since 1999. Located 23 Todd Street, San Fernando, Trinidad. Phone 868-657-1534 or 868-788-6955. worldwidesafety@yahoo.com.
Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Field of Dreams on ACTN. My name is Steve David, I'm your host. Today we talk about our pre-show with the Panama guys.
Correct.
We're doing Panama today. And unfortunately we don't have the luxury of seeing the Honduras game before we do the Panama game. So we just got to talk off of what we've seen in the past. Let me introduce the panel. And first, let me introduce my co-host, Narada Wilson. Narada, welcome.
Always a pleasure to be here, Steve. Often.
And then I've got my buddy next to me, Alvin Henderson. Alvin, welcome to the chat.
Thanks a lot, Steve. Always glad to be here.
And my real partner, Anthony Clark. Anthony, welcome to the chat.
Thank you, Steve. It's always been a pleasure to be here.
All right, viewers, we talked Panama, and we've spoken about Honduras last week, and now we're talking about Panama. Unfortunately, we haven't seen the Honduras game, so this show we taped it before. So bear with us, and we will try to take you through what we think is going to happen or what you're going to see on the upcoming game. So I'm going to open it up to the panel. What do we expect to see in this game?
Well, judging from what I think is going to happen in the Honduras game, everybody in Trinidad and Tobago will be wearing red on that day, the Tuesday the 5th, waiting anxiously as we were awaiting the track teams showing in London. We'll be awaiting more than anxiously the score from that Panama game. We should see the game. The game should come on television. We should see the game. And I think that game is going to be a nail-biter between Trinidad and Tobago, and it will determine if we go to the World Cup or not.
Lucky?
I am hopeful that we will have a very strong contingent in Panama supporting the Trinidad and Tobago team, either if the TTFF arranges a charter or if we just have Panamanians. I know a whole lot of people ran to Panama after the last government, so hopefully they will come out to the game.
It sounds like we win the Honduras game then.
It's definitely, I think that we would be on a high from the Honduras game, and we'll be going from strength to strength.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. First thing is that the game is in Panama, and I think that is, to our disadvantage. But we have to look at the situation as if we were preparing for that game, and right now, as is, I think the guys have to know they're going into a hostile environment. The Panamanians are going to come out for that game. We don't have any long flights or anything like that. They're accustomed, climate will be the same, but it is the game that is the do or die, and I actually think it will be our better showing because it's going to happen just as the series of games always go. The first game we learned from it, and then the second game we saw it with the USA Costa Rica. So I actually believe the Panama game is where our outcome would be better.
And Panama is a different beast to deal with.
Yeah.
They're not erratic. No. I mean, they came here, and we beat them. Now we go in there. They have something to prove, and I know they're gonna remember that game. And plus, they have good players.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, Panama over the last year or so, if they've been beaten, and like for instance, they've been really beaten significantly. It was hard for me to find in the last 2 or 3 years where they'd been beaten by more than a 2-1 margin or a 1-goal margin. One time I think they were beaten 3-1. But we have to look at history to see that earlier in the qualification, they held Mexico in Panama to a tie. A very tight game. They held Mexico to a tie. Recently, however, Honduras held them to a 2-2 tie, and that game was a war, a real war, because both of them were battling, and actually Panama had to come from behind to draw the game. So, as I said, Honduras, Trinidad and Tobago, and Panama, I think we're all fairly close. We even play similarly. Yeah. Our technical ability is on or about the same.
Correct.
They play a lot more aggressively than we do, and that is where I feel that we have to up our aggression to match them. Their skill level and technical level is just as the same or similar to the Hondurans or similar to us. And I feel, again, it's a game that could go either way, but we should want it more than anybody else. And Panama, having lost to Mexico a few days before, I'm expecting them to lose to Mexico in Mexico. I expect them to come with a last-ditch desperation effort to still stay in the World Cup qualifier. So that game is going to be another war in Panama, but this time between Trinidad and Tobago and Panama.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we have Panama and Honduras in the same cycle, and these three teams
are all
looking for one spot. That is that fourth place spot.
Yeah.
So,
I actually think that, using with Doc's analysis technically, I think just as we all more or less, same abilities, I think it's more for us. My personal view is that it's speed versus aggression. I think we top them a little bit with the speed, and they pip us a little bit with their aggression. So it's really which one would come out in the end as what, made the difference. And that is where the tight part of the race is going to be.
I want to start on them. I hope for Trinidad's benefit that they get a traction in Mexico. So, yes, they will be coming to fight for a spot against Trinidad at home, but I hope that they will be a bit deflated in that Trinidad game.
Yeah.
Panama is going to come out very aggressive. They are a team that always concedes, right? Meaning that they always get a goal, somewhat like Trinidad and Tobago. So I have that hope that we will be able to put one on them. From the Jamaica game, from the Honduras game, it will tell us if it is that Trinidad and Tobago has improved in that area in terms of how we concede, how much we concede, how early we concede, or if we concede at all. But Panama always concedes. And that is my hope, that we would be able to score. Again, the Jamaica game will tell us the choice the coach has made in terms of strikers. We would have known in terms of how many goals we scored then and in the Honduras game. And that will give us hope in terms of that Panama game. I don't think we are at such a disadvantage in Panama. I think Costa Rica is way more hostile than Panama. The altitude is worse, and we had a pretty good show in there. right? And the guys went and they gave a pretty good showing. I'm not, I've always said in the past that Trinidad sometimes performs much better outside of Trinidad than at home. So that I see that Panama game, especially if we're coming off a high in Honduras game, I think we're going to win that game right in Panama.
Many of the players that we have now have played and beaten Panama in Panama fairly recently, within the last 2 years. Stephen Hart took a team up there. Yes, it was a friendly, but we played in Panama, and as Panama is often hostile conditions for any Trinidad team. But we were able to go in there and beat them on their home turf. So it should give some of the players who are playing on the Trinidad team some confidence that you can go do, it's been done before, you can go ahead and do it. One of the things that I've noticed about when Panama is playing is that the crowd gets into, unlike the Trinidad crowd, which is usually a fairly docile crowd. And I want to afterwards talk a little bit about our docile crowd in Trinidad in football. In Panama, the crowd gets into the game, and we have to keep the crowd out of the game. They want the game fast, quick, balls knocking left, right, and center. Their crowd gets into the game. Mistakes are being made by players who are nervous and not familiar with the situation, and then they take the chances that fall to them. They take the chances, get on top of us, and then start to dominate the game. We must not fall into that trap. We must be able to manage the game. And one of the problems I see with us in Trinidad and Tobago is that we don't know sometimes how to kill the momentum. Kill the momentum when the speed of play is too fast and not to your liking. You're supposed to be able to kill the momentum and slow the game down so that the other team doesn't get in the ascendancy.
Yeah. I totally agree, and I don't have to bring back this situation, but I think in slowing the game down, I actually believe we need to trust our coach with one of our captain in playing the Panama game more than previous games. Reason being exactly that. Panama plays a pretty fast game, and when they get going, I think sometimes our retaliation is we want to try to see if we could go as fast or we could show that we are that fast. And I think with Stephen Hart, we had, there were times when our captain is playing, we know that, dimension of the game where he's able to slow it down and take the game to his style of play. And I think actually for the Panama game, I would actually prefer the one striker for that game.
With the old captain.
Old captain.
Captain.
Well, that's what I was going to say.
Yes, all right. Captain was the nickname, not
I agree with you because in the Jamaican-Honduras game, Kelvin Joe would not be the captain. So, yes, our captain would be playing, but that doesn't necessarily mean Kelvin Jones would be playing.
Yes, I would like the lone striker for that game.
I think that will be a bad strategy. I think we do have to take the game to Panama. Trinidad always plays very defensive. We have our strength is in our attack. Our strength is not in our defense.
Correct.
And therefore, at some point in time, take for instance Barcelona. Barcelona is so confident they play with 3 strikers. You have to deal with us. Trinidad and Tobago has to continue to evolve on their strengths, and maybe at some point in time you'll see 3 strikers with this guy from Holland, the young guy. Garcia on one side, Molino on the other side, Botswin in the middle. We have Jovin behind. We have and people have to wonder, what are we going to come with next? Because that is where our strength is. So this one striker tells me that, okay, we're not sure, so we better pack up the defense. But that's our strength. Our strength is in our strikers. It has always been in our strikers. It has been in Steve David, Dr. Alvin Henderson, Leroy DeLeon, Leon St. Louis, Turn John. We have always had great... Dwight York, how could I forget Dwight? Russell Latapi. That's where our strength is.
Correct.
And we always go into these games. And I remember back in the day, Brazil always used to win a game 4-3, 3-2. 5-4, because they will always outscore their opponents. Yes, they have matured, and right now they have play a lot better defense, but they always play to their strength. So by us playing this one striker, we are actually playing against our strength. And for that game, that Panama game, I want to see us to go out there. Mexico will go into Panama. They're not going to play with any one striker. I am Mexico. Costa Rica will go to Panama and play. You have to worry about me, even though you're home. Yeah. They will come to Trinidad and do the same thing. So I'm hopeful that Dennis Lawrence brings that military discipline to the Trinidad and Tobago team. I have always believed that every player must do their job. You have a job to do. This one striker coming down on the right side, you are the you are the left back. It is your job to make sure that he doesn't get past you. And if we get this discipline that each player knows his job and does his job, then the team will continue to mature and be better able to manage games. But I want to see us play to our strength.
I am curious, Alvin. You told the viewers you want to talk to the crowd about the
yeah, because I recently, well, I love all kinds of sports, and I had the pleasure of going to cricket recently. And Trinidad, the crowd has shown that they could be the most vociferous crowd in the world. That crowd that I saw when Trinidad cricket team was playing recently, well, the
Night Riders?
The Trinbago Night Riders, representing Trinidad.
TKR.
Right.
That crowd was a very vociferous crowd, and they were actually continuously making noise for the whole match, 3 hours. And I'm saying to myself, if only we had this in football. And why don't we have it in football? It's the same Trinidadian people. Why don't we have it in football? Why can't we get a vociferous crowd like that with the Venezuelans making noise and the drum beating and the iron beating being part of it and whatnot? And it obviously drives the players to better performances. That is what we need. Maybe we might get it with the smaller atmosphere in Atto Bowl, and I'm still waiting to see.
But we used to have that kind of crowds.
Yes, but it's disappeared from football.
And I will tell you why it disappeared, Alvin.
Tell him why.
If you analyze sport in Trinidad and you analyze cricket versus football, cricket is still very much a community sport. And you get the communities, right? You have cricket in Debe, you have cricket everywhere. The communities are very close-knit, and they come out and they support their, their local teams and so on and so forth. And you no longer have that in football. You no longer have football as a community sport. You don't. Point Fortin doesn't have a football league going on, right? And if it is that San Fernando has one, it's not community-based. You have to come to Skinner Park to see it. You only have about 5, 6 people there. And having it community-based and you have one community player coming out to make that Trinidad and Tobago team, the entire community comes out and gives that a support. Not only that, cricket has had a lot more marketing behind it. You have a whole lot of sponsors jumping on the bandwagon of cricket because it is played more than football in the communities. So sponsors see the benefit of getting into the communities, the Caribs, the this and that, and they use the community-based cricket to fly right on their backs. Trinidad, hopefully with David John Williams, who is a businessman, we get, and who has been the most successful at getting his club marketed locally and internationally. You have had the Vibe, right, City 105, W Connection. You have had Direct TV. He has been sponsored by Area, the clothing gear company. He has been
selling.
He has been able to sell and market W Connection, right? And hopefully, as president of the Trinidad and Tobago Football Association, he would be able to bring the
crowds back.
Well, not only the crowds, but the sponsors.
Okay.
The sponsors to the game, where they will be able to hype the game up more. Before this cricket, you had a caravan going through the streets of Port of Spain with the Carib girls, and they were marketing rugby cricket.
Let's take a break. When we come back, we will come back with you, Narada. No. Viewers will be right back after the short break.
Body in front causing trouble, especially
right, with tired players.
Yes, can change the whole tactical dimension of what you have been trying to.
We are inspired. We are practiced. We learn. We have challenges. We are supported. We persevere. And we shine. This is our commitment to you.
Okay, welcome back, viewers. Before the break, Anthony was selling W Connection story and so on, so on. So now we come back to Narada.
Yeah, no, I think for the games that are coming up, I think what is happening is that the public they're not aware fully of everything that is happening. Why I'm saying that is because we don't sell some of the players in the region, you know, and I mean this for our competition. We are in the CONCACAF region. We have to make the USA sound as something inviting. We have to make the Panama sound as something inviting, because something simple as you said, you're not hearing about a charter to go to the game. Panama is 3 hours away. The flight is probably less than 500 US on a good day, 800 on a bad day. You know, 2 flights per day going there. Why are we not going to see the game, especially with a campaign like this? We saw it happen during the times of the Argentina and the other build-ups before, but it's not happening right now. So I think, and I can't blame the brand of the TTFA, because they have reinvented. I think people believe that the players, they know them, the players are doing well. I just believe that somehow we're not getting it injected to every Trinidadian that it's worth, you know, taking up the trip, because we're seeing some of the numbers in our games dwindling. And, you know, that is happening because supporters are not believing that, you know, it's going anywhere.
So we're talking about supporters because I believe we think that the supporters is going to give our boys the extra advantage that they need.
Yeah, and I think for the Panama game, that's why I was suggesting that we don't think we could outrun the Panamanian at home. We may be faster, but having that crowd congratulate you every time you do a good pass, or when you're running, giving you that boost to run a little more, I think we could run ourselves into the ground if we're not careful.
Yeah, the Panamanian crowd really gets into the game.
It's different.
They're right there with their team, and every pass, they follow every pass, you know, as if they're out on the field close by. And they could, if you don't watch yourself, you could be swallowed up into that. You know, it's almost like a river coming down, and you have to guard against, that crowd washing you away and washing you out of the game.
So Panama has a 12-man. So they have the 12-man. So what do we do to combat
Well, as
Panama?
I said before, we have to manage the game with our possession. That helps control part of the crowd. And you also have to use opportunities where people get injured to slow the game down. So that injury, you know, especially the Central and Latin American teams, what they do is if somebody's injured on the field and they are up 1-0 or 2-0, especially in the second half, that injury, which normally would take a minute to take care of, somehow takes 5 minutes.
Right.
And you never get it back. You really never get it back
No,
at
you
the
don't.
end. But what they have actually done, however, is slow the momentum of the game. The game is going at breakneck pace, and they're ahead and they're on top. We have to get
Do
it
something to-
and stop it.
yeah.
Yeah, injury happens, we get the doctor on the field or the physio on the field, pace slows down, especially if we're in front. Especially if we're in front.
And that is what I think. I think to really control the Panamanian crowd is by trying to be going in the lead very early. And that's the reason why I am against the one striker.
Okay.
Because it is our right. It is to our benefit to get the early goal. All right. Have the Panamanians running after the game, creating mistakes, opening gaps because they have to get back the goal, and it is for that reason
I
that
think what
we
would be
should
required is we would need to have our best possession type playing footballers on the field that day, the guys that could actually hold up in a situation like that, because it means slowing down the game. It means we have to be holding
So
the ball.
therefore you're agreeing that
a bit
Kenwin
more.
shouldn't start?
No, I believe he is a holding type player.
So let's
If we have to analyze the team, you're looking at, for me now, this is where I would like Gonzalez and Nathan Lewis playing,
Okay,
because
so
these are
select the
guys,
team. Select the team
these
that
are
you would
guys
like to
who
see.
the ball could stay on their feet for a while. You know, they could run in circles for some time. So I would not in that game want the Boswain just running, you know, ineffectively, because he's not really the ball on the feet type runner. He could run in the spaces and off the ball. So I would go with Kenwin Jones starting. I would probably go with, you know, Highland. I would go with the usual suspects in the midfield, but having Gonzalez somewhere in that team and Nathan Lewis playing as the wider player. In the defense, I think I will go back with Batu. And in that case, I actually may prefer Cyrus, because Cyrus could take the ball when he's ready. I don't suggest he does it, but he's that type of player. So I think I will go with more of the holding football type players.
I would tend to disagree with Narada.
Okay.
Hopefully, barring any injuries, whatever defense has played in the Honduras game, you go back. You don't want to change your defense at all. So defense that would have played in the Jamaica game, the Honduras game,
They could stay on.
and I don't want to touch that defense. In terms of people holding the ball in midfield, I prefer the players that have the ability to play 1- and 2-touch football accurately, because I don't want people holding the ball unnecessarily and losing it unnecessarily. In terms of up front, that is where you want the players to be able to either hold the ball, which Kenwin Jones is not good at. Kenwin Jones is not good at the ball at his feet. He is not a good dribbler. He is not someone that could take the ball with somebody at the back, and he's not a Leonson Lewis. He's not a Stern John. Those players could have held that ball up and wait for the midfield to come. Kenwin does not do that very well at all, and he cannot turn and take on a defense by himself. So you're contradicting yourself by trying to start.
I would say why I wouldn't say that, because we forget in the Mexico game when Kenwin, when I say he holds on the ball, I don't expect him to go running with it, but I believe Kenwin with his back to the goal, holding that ball on his feet for somebody to come up. That's killing time, because the time he's going to have that ball on his feet, we had Cummings.
And I don't think he does that very well.
We had Cummings coming in, and that is where we saw some of our goals coming. You know, so in this situation, I would prefer a Plaza come in, if he's Baranda is not injured, or any of the other midfield guys, even Molino coming up and taking the ball from him when he holds it, because he's not going to go run.
On that, because I don't think he is very good at holding that ball up. If he was, then we would have had way more goals coming from the midfielders and so on and so forth. I think that is actually one of his weakest points of holding that ball up. Kenwin's strength is in the air, and that is wholly and solely where his strength is, in the air within that 6-yard box penalty spot.
All right, Alvin is going to break the tie.
I think I call him reasonable but not good enough at holding up the ball. Because from the start, I've always said, I don't think Kenwin Jones is a striker, a natural forward.
Yes.
To me, a lot of the natural things that you learn as a forward come from your teenage years, coming all the way up. And it's a progression of the building block one going on top of the other. You progressively get better at doing certain things in the game as a forward. His biggest problem, I think, is his running off the ball and his anticipation. There's something that we say in football, especially with forwards. It's said that the first 5 yards of speed of getting past a defender or getting into space, the first 5 yards is in your head. It's anticipation. And especially if you can read what's called change of possession as a forward. So possession may not have been turned over yet, but you anticipate that that ball is going to be turned over to your player, and you are ready in the direction going forward. When the team is going the other direction, you have gained 3 or 4 yards on them. So anticipation, and that is one of the qualities that helps with somebody being able to run off the ball well. I think that's where he falters a lot, and that is why sometimes he seems to be late in what he does. But he's reasonable at holding up the ball. I don't think he's the best at doing it. I don't think that is the only thing that I would like to see a forward do that would play at international level. Even his heading of the ball, to me, in front of goal leaves a lot to be
desired. Yeah.
Are we going to see him in this Panama game?
As I said, I would still see him, in my opinion. Things are not going well. 15, 20 minutes before the end.
So what you're saying is Kenwyn's spot on the field is no longer. He has a spot on the bench coming off maybe 15, 20 minutes.
Yes, because then when you bring him on, you're bringing a totally different dimension to the team. Okay. So the other teams would have seen what your strategy and what your tactics are, and they say, well, we're dealing with that adequately. You bring on a Kenwyn Jones, you can change the whole dimension of the tactics with that team. Yes, holding up the ball, but a big body in front causing trouble, especially
with tired players.
Yes, can change the whole tactical dimension of what you have been trying to accomplish, and you may get a chance or two out of that.
Right.
You said something that made a lot of sense, and I never thought about it, because we do anticipate winning a ball or a ball being played, and we start moving before it even happens.
Yes.
And maybe he does have a problem with that.
He's not a natural striker.
I have seen it from the start. That is his biggest problem. Okay. Because and what happens is, because I'm a striker of the past, that is my main thing. I could see the run long before he has even thought of starting to take off.
Right.
But Doc, is how he has been trained. Remember, in the English league, you see the ball going on at the side of the field, and then you're coming late behind and you're following the play rather than having to make, because that's the environment that he was placed in as a youngster.
But I have seen many good English strikers who do what I've said.
Right,
they anticipate and they do it well. So I am not saying it's only the English system. I've seen many great English strikers who are excellent runners off the ball.
Agreed.
And so I wouldn't put it down to training.
Because of that.
I think it's just the building blocks that normally...
Because he was a defender.
Yes. And a defensive midfielder. There are certain aspects that he had success with in a lower division, with his heading ability and his finishing. Finishing at that time wasn't bad. But now that he's getting older, you don't have you're not getting away with some of the things that you used to get away with before. And international football, nobody has any mercies on you.
But defenders also anticipate, because sometimes...
Correct. Everybody, even goalkeepers.
And sometimes we even fool them into do that and check, and because they're trying to anticipate you, and you go the other way. So everybody has to do it, some part of the game. Yeah. So he should be aware of that in some form or fashion. But anyhow, let's not kill Kenwyn. Kenwyn, sorry about that, but...
it's a counter again, right, Narada? I would love to see the two striker system where they play off each other. 1-2 touch, ball comes in, he flicks it on to his other striker, moves off the ball. Instead of this player holding up the ball and slowing this game down, and our attack is now slowed down. When our attack, really and truly, we play on speed, as you said.
Yeah, we do.
We are faster, so therefore that should be our advantage rather than having this person slow this ball down.
Our speed of play in recent years has not been good enough to get past defenses quickly and on a regular basis. The big area in football these days is how well do you play in transition when you have lost possession of the ball or one possession of the ball. Because other than that, teams are going to get men behind the ball and they're going to put up a
wall.
Park the bus on you.
Yes.
Or put up a bunker defense, as some people will say. So it's important, especially when the game is fairly quick or going from end to end, that you get your advantage in that transition period. And how well in Panama, how well we convert from
defense into
attack is going to be key in that.
And it has to be quick.
It has to be quick. They're going to come at us quickly. We know that. Yeah. But how well do we counter? And a lot of that is anticipation and getting people forward as quickly as possible to support the attack, as we did in Costa Rica. So it is not something that we can't do because we did it. We did it in Costa Rica.
But personnel
was done successfully.
Personnel would dictate that.
Yes.
Well, as a striker, I always don't want to be close to the ball. So if I'm on the left side and the ball comes on the left side, I'm getting away from the left side, trying to make space between myself and the ball, so I can run on to. So when I look at strikers, I don't even see them in that way. But we have Stern John who could do this, who should know about this, who can teach them this kind of stuff. So we have people who should be able to pass that news on.
Yeah. One of the Stern John, a number of people don't give him the kind of credit that he should have had as a striker. I love Stern John.
I love Stern John as well.
As we had spoken about before. But there's one thing with doing it, there's another thing with teaching it. We're coaching it. And Stern John had some qualities that I don't think any of our strikers there have. He knows exactly how to position his body and how to so that he would turn to be able to get a shot off. I saw a shot by Benzema in the match, in the last match that Barcelona and Real Madrid played. He stepped in front of the defender and had that defender flat-footed with his first turn and flick, and it left-footed came. That is, Stern John was a master at that. You know, and people call him with his stern turn. We hardly have players, Kenwin Jones being one, who are able to turn quickly and get a shot in when one is not apparent. We don't see players doing that. And we don't see players shooting as often as they should shoot. I've always said if you don't shoot, you can't score. You can't score if you don't shoot. The number of times that I've seen balls come off people's chest, shoulder, elbow, foot, and deflect and go in the goal to score, we still claim it. But if we didn't shoot, we don't score.
Yeah. All right, viewers, we need to take a break, guys. When we come back, let's talk about that with our strikers especially. I don't see them being in positions where the defender can't. If you go in a position where the defender can see you in the ball, then you're in the wrong position. We'll talk about it when we come back. We'll be right back after the short break.
I think our problem is always on the right with the corners, because you don't see Nathan Lewis as a dribbler. He doesn't take the best. You're not going to stress out Kevin Molino taking it there. So sometimes I think our right side...
We are inspired. We are practiced. we learn. We have challenges. We are supported. We persevere. And we shine. This is our commitment to you.
Okay, welcome back, viewers. Guys, like I was saying before the break, you know, blindside running is probably, Alvin, was probably your biggest thing as a player. You're very good at blindside running, like with Cave and those people. So I don't see this happening no more, because we allow the defender to pick up the ball and us now at the same time, and always we should be on the defender back trying to, so he has to be looking for us while the ball is playing in front of him.
You know, one of the things that I have seen with good strikers and the people who I looked at over the years playing striker is that the preparation for your eventual run takes place a good 2 or 3 minutes before your run takes place.
Right.
And people don't prepare their position or try to pull their defender into a certain position. As you said, pull him to the left because you're going right or into that space. The preparation takes place a good while before the actual run takes place. And sometimes that run is dependent on somebody else's run that may carry 2 players or 1 or 2 players, and then you go into the space that's created. So you must be alive to the situation at all times. You know, you can't afford to sleep or to sit back. And that is what sometimes it irks me, that when I see that the players are not actively looking at the situation, because at any time as a striker, a ball can rebound off somebody and then you are in behind the defense. So you have to be alert at all times. The only time you shouldn't be alert is when you're in the dressing room after the game.
All right, education for you viewers. Let's get back to Panama game. What do we expect from Panama?
I think a do-or-die situation as well. You know, I don't see Panama stopping the pressure coming. I think because my main factor is having seen the crowd support, you know, and been in it, you know, that is going to give them, stimulate them much more. So Panama is running harder, they're shooting more, they're tackling much more aggressively than we are, because that is what the people want, and it's basically a last game as well. That is what we're running into, and we're not going to see any lulls in the game where, you know, Trinidad is going to have opportunity because Panama is tired or they're dying out. I actually believe it could be 90 minutes of football. It is going to be a war, and their players, they're going to have to be committed to doing it because the country is now behind them. It's what we had to do in the game before, basically. And I think we have to really be prepared and put our best team that could last 90 minutes of that constant pressure.
That's how we combat it.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Added to that, right, I totally agree with that analysis. Added to that, Panama does have some very skillful and very technically sound players.
They do.
So, right, with that aggression, with the crowd support, and their natural ability and technique to play the game, it seems, you know, right, a very difficult task. But again, there's always a way to counter what you perceive to be, right, your enemy's strength. And I think that our strength, again, is in our attack. And our attack is the first form of our defense. So if we give them something to think about, and that's why I'm so against this one striker, because we're not giving them anything to think about in defense.
Like Steve with speed and more speed.
That's right. So their wing backs are free to come forward and add to their attack, and it will actually be giving us more to worry about than, right, the Panamanian team. So yes, I fully agree with that analysis of what we are to expect from Panama, but and I can't see any other analysis other than that. But it really depends on what we do to counter that.
Right. Well, we can always mash the boot off of the defender and score a goal like we did in Trinidad, right?
I think, and we come back to this again, and I said it a couple of times during the sequences of some of the games that we've talked about, is that I don't think, and I still don't think in this hex so far, that we've taken advantage of our dead ball situations as much as we should have. Dead ball situations have cost us goals. And now I see that almost everybody is putting a ball to our first post consistently after New Mexico scored there. Costa Rica did it more than once. And at least we defended it better. Still not as well as I would like. But we, in attack, I would like to see us do something different with our dead ball, our corners, and our free kicks from the side of the field. I find that we look same old all the time. Our corner kicks should be productive. We have 3 or 4 6-footers there on the team. Somebody flicking on the ball at the first post to somebody coming in late. I'm not seeing anything like that at all. And I'm still not seeing any short corners that would give us, you know, a player like Molino or Jovin Jones who could dribble anybody, getting in, coming in along the line and causing trouble. I've not seen enough of that to make me feel that we are thinking about it enough so that it can be used.
If I had to touch on what Doc is saying, this is a total twist on it. In a situation like that is where I would probably, like, depending on how the Jamaica game and if he gets called, if Alvin Jones plays in a game like that, because he has a pretty strong, a powerful shot that is on target pretty often and it scores in the local league, right? And he's a good right back. You know, he could run and he could come back. He could actually be a nice twist or an addition, because with him having Jovian Jones taking the left side, you know, I think our problem is always on the right with the corners, because you don't see Nathan Lewis as a dribbler. He doesn't take the best. You're not going to stress out Kevin Molino taking it there. So sometimes I think our right side is actually defective when it's the dead ball. And Highland is our dead ball. He's the first guy to take it. But I am not too pleased with when he takes it. There are a lot of times, probably 50-50 chance he's going to sky it or put it in the wrong position. And then the other times, it's not consistently over 75%, you know, accuracy with him. So I think it's a part of the game that we actually are letting slip pretty often.
I think the world now is dead ball situation. They put it down and they hit it because the ball is so light, it moves in the air. But what about little trick stuff they used to do with dead ball situations? It doesn't happen anymore. So I mean, bring it back.
We should have at least one trick up our sleeve.
Correct.
Yeah.
All you need is one, and if the situation arises, you use it. And sometimes you never know. The element of surprise could get you. But I'm been watching many games Trinidad has played, and I'm seeing the same old. I could actually predict what we're going to do.
Yeah. Correct.
I could predict what we're going to do. There's nothing, you know, surprising to me in Trinidad. And obviously we've been scouted. So that's a tick that they've put. Let's change that. Let's put an additional twist to the whole situation, and let's bring in something that could cause them trouble. A free kick to the edge of the box with somebody coming in and driving, a Highland driving the ball where everybody has cleared out. I've never seen Trinidad do that.
Yeah, we've seen that with Kerry Jameson way back when.
That's what we're saying.
Yeah.
Talking about
This present. Okay.
This
And
next.
right to actually add to
That's
that, Doc,
correct.
you know, in terms of, I would even love to see both a Levi Garcia and a Jones on the field together. I would love to see a left foot on the right side coming in, dribbling rather than being on the left side, going down with his left foot. I would love to see both Levi and Jones on the team, switching right at times. We don't even see that the wingers switching from side to side to give the wing back a different look. But there's a different man. It's not the left footer again. It's a right footer coming in.
I can't say that they haven't switched.
Yeah, they have done it.
They have switched, but it's been to give him a 5 minutes
Right.
instead of a 15.
Right, and I am
minutes.
speaking about a dynamic change. You have these two guys coming at you all the time. Then they switch, and then they bring back
The
at a
funny
different
thing
look.
is, the guys do it at their clubs. At their clubs, they've been, fortunate that you see them doing it.
Speaking about change, since we're in a hostile environment in Panama, what about Abu Bakr in the back?
I don't want to change my if Abu Bakr starts in Honduras, if he starts in Jamaica as a goalkeeper, I have a relationship with my back four, back five, even my defensive midfielder. I don't want any changes there at all.
In addition, Abu Bakr, against a tall player like him with his center of gravity high, he doesn't do well against the quick
players.
Or
the
South
quick
American.
the Central America quick 1-2s where you have to recover quickly.
Yeah, he's
and
not
turn
very
quickly.
fast on the feet. If he drops, he doesn't get up as
that
fast.
doesn't
you know.
happen.
And that is where Batu is
And
put under a lot of pressure.
especially if the ground is a little bit wet, he struggles a little bit.
So barring injuries, my back five, whoever starts in my defensive midfielder, my back four, my goalkeeper, that unit is my unit. I wish I could go an entire 2 years with that unit.
Yeah, but it's nice to have Abu Bakr there.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it, but I don't see him
For these
booting out
Any player.
any of the players there at the moment. It's nice to have him because he's a decent central defender who could read the game. I like him for his offensive threat as well. But he doesn't have the kind of quickness I think that you need when you're playing against
a team,
a Latin American or Central American team where they move the ball
shift
very
the ball,
quickly and shift you very often out of position. He struggled, in my opinion, against him.
Somebody that I didn't bring up that I actually think could do well, depending, is I actually like Hector for playing in the midfield. Yeah, I actually think his ball passing.
Who, Huden Hector?
Yeah, I actually think he's a nice player in terms of getting the ball off his feet pretty quickly. He is almost like I like him with George, because I think George, when he goes into a tackle, he gets it off faster than Highland, in my opinion. I think Highland holds on a little longer to play a long ball. He looks for somebody. Kievan doesn't like to hold the ball at all. You find he gets it and it's off. And I think Hector has that, and he has a nice passing range as well, So I think in that environment, because of, saying that we're going to be playing at speed and attacking them, I think in that situation, I would like Hector probably featuring at some point in that game if he makes the squad,
Is he on the squad?
Yes, he is. He
is.
played against Ecuador recently.
Yeah.
And
He had a good game against Ecuador.
a reasonable game against Ecuador. In fact, whether he starts or whether he's really in the picture, the game against Jamaica
Will tell.
Will tell,
will
correct.
determine that.
Yeah. So I think, that is what we're running into there. But
So is there going to be any changes between the Honduras team and this Panama
I
team?
noticed, I was to come in there and talk. I noticed Tony said he will probably start the same team, especially if he's successful. I am a
Not
little bit-
necessarily, Doc.
Okay.
Right, my back five.
Okay.
Because there would be some fatigue. You need to bring in
Alright,
some fresh
okay.
legs.
Right.
But I'm speaking about my back five.
All right, your back five. Defense,
Yes.
I could agree with you with that. But you need fresh legs,
Yes.
especially if your turnaround is only 4 to 5
Correct,
days.
yes, yeah.
Because your recovery period is longer than that. And to freshen up, especially the midfield and possibly even the wide players.
Yes,
You really so if I have played Jamal Williams against Honduras, I'll probably see I'd like Lewis to
Need
start
some coming
against
on.
Panama.
Yeah, I agree.
Or and vice versa, so that you freshen up the wide players there.
So let's say because we don't know, but let's say we've lost that Honduras game.
Well, then
Would we bring
anybody could
younger players?
Anybody.
Anybody could play.
Anybody?
Because I think if we lose that Honduras game,
Free for all.
we are no longer going to Russia. We don't have a chance.
I know. So what, as a country, for the future, what do? We bring more players who from the younger.
I'm not
age.
indulging in that conversation, Steve. We are going to win the Honduras game, and our future will be with the younger under 16, under 18 teams. But for the Hex, we are going to win the Honduras game.
Okay, so we win the Honduras game.
And we'll have 2 or 3 changes for the Panama game. That's it.
So our young players ain't getting a chance.
Yeah,
not
under
until
16,
next
under
year.
18.
After the campaign.
Right, for the campaign? No.
I think, if, just to respond, if it went wrong, I think he could give the entire, more of the local players, depending on how much make the final cut. I think all the local players should probably feature, to give those guys the experience, because that is where it would be for the following campaign. But we're going into that. I think the Panama game is actually, it's going to be our tougher game. Not the opponent, but just because of the atmosphere.
Environment.
Okay, starting with you, Narada.
Yeah.
I want to come this way. What's the score going to be?
First game, I said we're going 2-0. This game, I actually believe would have been a bigger score. I will go 3-1 in favor of Trinidad. I actually think we could beat Panama more, So I will go 3-1.
So, Clarky, you have us winning both games, obviously, because
I'm seeing a 2-1 for the Panama game. I know Panama is going to come very strong. And they have very good technical players. I can't see them not having opportunities. Trinidad, normally makes mistakes. We are just like Panama, where more than likely we don't get clean sheets. And I am hopeful that Panama will make more defensive mistakes than we would, and we will win the game 2-1.
Doc?
Well, Clarky took my score. I say 2-1 as well. Panama.
Panama will win 2-1.
No, Trinidad will win 2-1.
Okay.
I think we've beaten them before.
Yeah, that's my
We've
thing.
beaten them before. We've beaten them twice before. We beat them here recently in the X.
And
We've
in the
beaten them in Panama. I feel our players feel confident now that Panama is beatable. And it will be a situation that if we're going to go to Russia, these players, many of them, it will be their last chance of making a World Cup. And if they don't leave themselves out on the field there, then they have nothing to give again. They have to give us everything in this game, because this may be the last chance that they will get as players to ever go to a World Cup. Your chance will be gone.
Okay, you guys don't want to hear me right.
Yes,
This
we
is
will.
where
Yes,
Steve
we
gets
do.
quiet, but he's going to give his score.
If we lose the Honduras game, we're going to lose the Panama game by more than a couple goals. If we win the Honduras game, we're going to still lose the Panama game. You know why? Because we always, something about us, we're not combative enough. We always don't give it our all.
And that's why I'm hopeful that Hennis Lawrence could bring that military discipline to the team.
All right, guys. So, 1 second. Partner was for anybody? No?
One of the things that you've been talking about, Narada referred to it, Clarky referred to it, and I'll just sum it up here in saying that the reason we have these problems with the players sometimes is because we are not looking at the psychological support that we need to give them enough.
Right.
Our team, all our teams, need the psychological support.
Right.
Because that's important in the modern football if you're going to look to win.
Okay.
Especially if you're going to be in tournaments where you only have a short turnaround. We're going to need a psychologist on the team at some point in time.
I agree. Shirley Rudd Utley. We need her. Okay, viewers, thank you for tuning in. ACTN, thank you for giving us the opportunity to bring the show to our viewers, to the panel. thank you guys again.
Sure.
We do have a Facebook page. Check us out. We do have an email address, fieldofdreamtt@gmail.com. Drop us a line. The show's ended. Go in peace. My name is Steve David. Good night.
Academy.
Worldwide Safety Consultants Limited offers solutions to your immediate and future potential problem areas by providing you with a qualified team of safety consultants. Worldwide Safety Consultants Limited, building a reputation on quality and value since 1999. Located 23 Todd Street, San Fernando, Trinidad. Phone 868-657-1534 or 868-788-6955. Worldwidesafety@yahoo.com.